bottom line is, let's not whine or revile. Let's find the hidden justice which is regulating our life. What's regulating your life? What's regulating your life?
Choices.
Choices, yeah. You are regulating your life. And you're doing it through what? Contracts. Which is law. So, this contract stuff, why should you learn it? What's it got to do with anything? What if the problem's too big?
No problem's too big.
That's right. Nothing's too big. What's a problem? Problem's a question to be answered, believe it or not. One of its definitions. Some of you are dealing with all sorts of interesting problems, ranging from IRS debt, somebody that ripped you off, to somebody coming after you, you going after somebody infringed on your patent or something else. Back when I got placed into prison, it was over conspiracy to manipulate stock. A particular stock account had generated taxable income or a tax liability of $870,000, bearing the name of you-know-who. And the IRS contacted you-know-who with a couple of certified letters in 2001 saying, you owe 870 grand. Now what are we going to do? Simply go make a contract with them so we don't owe it.
You make it sound so easy, and I'm sure it is, but that goes way.
Is there any difference between a IRS claim for 870 grand or a City of Manhattan Beach ticket for $87? Or a bill from the Visa company for $19,000? Or a credit line for $1 million? Is there any difference?
Numbers.
Zeros.
They're nothing but commercial presentments, aren't they? Isn't it just 4 doors to go through? Believe it or not, it is. Care if you get a ticket? Utility company sends you a bill? Somebody sues you. The government presents you with an indictment for 3 murders and 10 tons of cocaine. Are the facts on the moon or are they on the moon? Are they or aren't they?
Yeah.
We said they are. Can you believe it, though? Well, that's what you're going to have to decide for yourselves. I say it is. I don't care if it's an 870 grand from the IRS or 2 3-year cases of probation, supervised release, and $4.8 million from the feds. What if you can make all those go away? Wouldn't that lead you to believe there's remedy?
Yes.
You can understand why I believe there's remedy, huh? Along with about 40 or 50 other cases of seeing it work every time if you do it right. Contract law. Do any of you know what the Constitution of the United States has to say about contracts? Article 1, Section 10, Clause 1, in pertinent part states what?
Government can't interfere with it.
No state shall pass any law impairing the obligation of contracts. Nobody? What would you think if that's true? Remember, what does the Constitution do for me and my rights?
Checks.
Secures and protects, guarantees them. Doesn't give me anything. That's another order to the feds. No state shall pass any law impairing the obligation of contracts. Am I using loopholes to get out of stuff?
No.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Why?
Because things they're protected. They're yours.
You're using contracts.
Yeah, but isn't this contract stuff just kind of like a loophole little side thing over here?
No,
That's
it's
the
written in
law.
stone.
Why is it written stone? What else is there if it isn't contracts? Think about it. What else could be? If it isn't your agreement to something, what else could possibly bind you? If you were raised and born a slave and had no rights, what would ever given to you? Nothing. So it wouldn't matter, would it? Is life so dear or peace so sweet as to be purchased at the price of chains and slavery? Forbid it, Almighty God. I know not what course others may take, but as for me, give me liberty or give me death. Patrick Henry, famous patriot of American history. Do you believe that? Is that just flowery rhetoric? Do some of you know about a guy named Nathan Hale? He was an early patriot in the Revolutionary War. At 14 years of age, he graduated from high school, matriculated to, I think it was Yale, became a school teacher at 17 and joined the Confederacy or the one of the state's militia back in 1775, 74, and ends up getting caught by the British for spying. Back then they told him, I tell you what, if you're willing to give up your allegiance, abjure your allegiance to the colonies and give it back to England, we'll give you a captaincy in Britain's forces and pay. And he chose not to. And at 21 years of age, they hung him. Huh? And he had a very famous quote in America. I only regret I had but one life to give for my country. He's the guy that coined that. Wow, talk about integrity. You're considering embarking on doing this stuff. It's really a function of who you're going to serve, God or man. I've got one of my students out of California who's up on marijuana charges, and he's having a dilemma mentally with going after the agents who seized his money. $90,000 in cash and $58,000 out of his bank account, purportedly illegally ill-gotten gains from medical marijuana. California gave him a license. Feds swooped in, tore his place up, seized his bank accounts, all sorts of different things. Not the first time. So he says, what should I do? I said, well, how about taking care of these fine officers on what's right? He says, I don't think they had a warrant or anything. They just do it to hassle the medical co-op marijuana guys and stuff. I said, so they're superseding their office, correct? Then you need to go after them. I said, how effective would it have been had I gone after the BOP for $42,000 on a chess set or $40,000 on a chess set as compared to the warden? I said, do you think you can go after the DEA and the DOJ, Department of Justice, and Drug Enforcement Agency? Or how effective will it be if you go after those agents? So he's done the paperwork up, but he doesn't want to file against the agents. He's afraid to. Don't they always do it right? So, do you really want to go up against the government, the CRA, the IRS, the United States of America, whoever on behalf of Canada brings their suits? I don't know. Is life so dear or peace so sweet? Has to be purchased at the price of chains and slavery? Not for me. Unfortunately, I've been reading too much of this flowery rhetoric over the years. Winston Churchill. If you will not fight for the right when you can easily win without bloodshed, if you will not fight when your victory will be sure and not so costly, you may come to the moment when you will have to fight, with all the odds against you and only a precarious chance for survival. There may be a worse case. You may have to fight with no chance of victory, because it is better to perish than to live as slaves. Do you have democracy and republic in that?
Folder. You wanna-
Many of you have read a 1928 military training manual that talks about democracy and republic. Democracy results in demagogism, license, agitation, discontent, and anarchy. And a republic results in statesmanship, liberty, reason, justice, contentment, and progress. What the hell we got a democracy going for then? Why is there a democracy then?
That's what people want.
That's right. And they're what? They're the sovereigns, aren't they? Can they have what they want? They're entitled to it, aren't they? What do you want? A republic or a democracy? Now you know when Franklin said a republic if you can keep it. Far better is to dare mighty things, to win glorious triumphs even though checkered by failure, than to rank with those poor spirits who neither enjoy nor suffer much, because they live in the gray twilight that knows neither victory nor defeat. Is that you? Are you sure? You know, I often think about this course I'm on. I say, you know, oftentimes it seems God demands the ultimate sacrifice for those people, doesn't he? I said, oh, this is going to be bad. I got to die maybe someday for this stuff. Whew. I hope not, but so be it. Let it be. What will be, right? Can't be all bad. Nobody gets out of here alive anyway, so what the heck? However, my take on the government is they always do it right. They live by this ironclad ultimate principle that binds everything, contract. Some of you have problems, some of you don't. Some of you have problems with children, child support, CPS taking your kids, CRA, IRS. Does it matter what you did? Aren't contracts dynamic? We can make a move. So who cares what you're charged with? What's charged mean? Some of us get a charge. Don't we get charged with a crime? Something like that? That's why I love the meanings of words. We ought to already know what booking is, right? So it sounds to me like you get charged when you go in, when you let yourself get booked. That's why the judges get jurisdiction over you. It already happened when you went in the police station. Oh, first witness already. You gave up the name, the body, all of that stuff. Charged. To impose a task or responsibility on. And then I love the word impose. To practice deceit on.
Wow.
So I have a different view when somebody charges me than you might. Somebody's practicing deceit on me. Are they? Yeah, absolutely. That doesn't mean it's wrong. It's the game. So, it doesn't matter what's been done, what you're charged with, because we don't have any money of account or having intrinsic value, so to speak. There's been a whole system of law set into motion that allows you to set everything off because you're dealing with a de facto government. What's a de facto? You've heard it spoken of as de facto as opposed to de jure. What's de facto? I love the definition of de
Of the
facto.
day.
What?
Of the day.
No.
In
De facto.
Acting like,
In fact, he says, existing in fact, but not legally established. I love it.
Is here in fact by virtue of deed of accomplishment.
I like this Webster's a lot because the definitions kind of speak to me. De facto, existing or being such in actual fact, though not by legal establishment, official recognition, etc. It's not been officially recognized, this government. Kind of interesting.
Nice.
It's really nice. So we're going to whine and revile about it? Or understand the hidden justice which regulates our life? God, I love this government. Nothing like having a government you can get away with everything with. Right? Which would you rather have? Would you rather have gold-backed money? Have to pay everything? Scratch out a living? Or would you like to be able to use your signature to set off stuff and all sorts of things? Man, I like this game. I don't understand it totally, but I'm going to get there quick. I love this game. Any problems that any of you have, whether it be with the IRS, a lawsuit, anything can be settled. Anything. Can you settle it for others? It's going to be hard because I contend thus, which a lot of the gurus out there teach, is these forms will fix it for you, when I don't see it that way. I see that forms and administrative proceedings can fix a lot of things, yes, no doubt about it. But when it comes to real serious things like jail time and that kind of thing, now IRS, CRA, most of those guys can be made to go away as a general rule with simply administrative proceedings. The two docs in Cincinnati who are dealing with IRS problems have had settled it a long time before with the DOJ. Sent them notes and this and that, and pretty soon they found themselves indicted. I said, well, they said it didn't work. They didn't set it off or whatever. I said, well, why did you get indicted, do you think? Since I believe the government always does it right, I fish around with somebody till I find what they did wrong. I'm not thinking the government did it wrong. My first suspect's the guy I'm talking to. And we talked about it. I said, well, did they send you anything after you sent the stuff in? You know, like more notices to test you, that kind of. Yeah, what'd you do with them? Well, nothing. Ah, okay. So you went through door 3. He goes, yeah. We paid it off. They're not paying any attention. Are they not paying attention, or they need more witnesses? We got a real interesting one with Juanita. This girl named Juanita. She's dealing with a particular credit card issue, which is very common, and she discharged that debt using a remittance. Remittance, I really like that word now.
Species of money.
What?
A species of money.
A little bit different. Let's see if money sent by one person to another, either in specie, bill of exchange, check, or otherwise. I kind of like that. That's out of Black's Fifth, by the way. Money sent by one person to another, either in specie, bill of exchange, check, or otherwise. So, with that in mind, kind of takes on another interest. I often carry around all sorts of cue cards and things. What I got in the habit a long time ago is I just was taking letter envelopes and I just write on them and fold them in half, and used to carry them in my shirt pocket because they're kind of like the cue card instead of going and buying cue cards, where I just had grabbed envelopes at that time. So that's all that is just a bunch of envelopes with notes on it and definitions of different words, and I carry them around and just read them over and over again until I internalize them or memorize them and use them the way I want to use them. So this remittance, some of you that are being billed by the IRS, the CRA, etc. So Juanita, as many others, have discharged debt with a credit card bill, right? And they sent in the acceptance for value as proposed by Brandon. And really it doesn't matter to me in one sense whether it's that, an IOU, a piece of paper. I like that Aunt Marge defense thing we come up with. Any of you, everybody heard of that? The two docs in Cincinnati that are indicted were explaining to their 83-year-old, one of their 83-year-old Aunt Marge, about they'd given this esoteric financial instrument to discharge a bunch of IRS debt, and that's what they were being indicted for, etc. And 83-year-old Aunt Marge says, did they keep it? That was a response to this long explanation of this stuff. Well, did they keep it? And her nephew Bruce says, yes. She goes, they've been paid. So we call it the Aunt Marge defense. I just want to know, did you keep it? They've been paid. There's acceptance. We discussed acceptance, but the nice definition I like for it is an agreement either by express act or by implication from conduct to the terms of an offer so that a binding contract is formed. Do you need to memorize that? Not really. You just simply need to know that acceptance forms a binding contract. I didn't say contract, I said a binding contract. And then that goes along with this comment from the contract from Brian Blum. If the offerer proffers property or services that you offering to them with the offer, and the offeree, that's them, having the reasonable opportunity to return or refuse them, exercises any ownership over rights over the property or keeps the benefit of any service, the offer is accepted. And the definition I like best for acceptance is what I just got done telling you. So that a binding contract is formed. So you don't have to memorize a lot of stuff, but if something is accepted, a binding contract is formed. So if one of you send a credit card company the payment voucher, which is a form of acceptance for value that goes on with what Brandon teaches, are all of you familiar with that? Essentially, a credit card company sends you a statement, and on the bottom is a little dotted line, or it looks like it could be cut off a voucher, and you fill it in kind of like a check, and you sign it and put the routing instructions and endorse the back side of it and send it to the CFO with some basic instructions. What does that CFO of that company do, or that entity that receives that remittance do with it? They keep it. And then some other part of the company sends you a letter. Hey, I didn't get your... do you have some of your letters with you by any chance?
I'm not sure.
This is really cool stuff. It's standard stuff. It's all standard letters. Yes, Dwight.
The CFO takes that, throws it in the garbage, and doesn't contact you about it. That's viewed as keeping it.
I didn't get a
Did
letter.
he exercise any ownership rights over it?
I didn't get a letter. I got a phone call, remember?
Yeah, but you had some letters, remember?
I have to go get those. I'll be right
Right?
back.
No, they should be in
No,
here.
they're not in there. That we took, those were different, that was a different bank. I'll go get it.
That's okay, don't worry about it.
It's on here though.
We all get letters from various other departments, you haven't paid your payment. They ignore like you even sent the CFO anything or them anything. One of Juanita's was, well, you know, our records show that you're a month behind and blah, 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 and some other rhetoric. And so after and she'd gotten a phone call at one point. And so that's just an offer. One of the kind of a neat little conditional acceptance we put together is, I'm in receipt of your letter dated so-and-so date attached herewith, current balance amount X. Please find and enclose copies of documents sent to the CFO, including, you know, John Smith, CFO, including but not limited to remittance, which is accepted, that has set off, settled, and closed the account. See attached Exhibit A, 4 pages plus remittance, and documents in response to telephone conversation of September so-and-so date. See attached Exhibit B, paid so many pages. Therefore, you entered into a valid and enforceable contract with me, received the benefits of the contract, and agreed to set off, settle, and close the account in accordance with the terms noted in this agreement. The account is set off, settled, and closed. Further attempts to collect on an account already agreed as set off, settled, and closed leads me to believe you may be committing fraud and shall incur a penalty and or liability of 100,000 United States dollars. If your attempts to collect, failing to credit said account via remittance, are a mistake, inadvertence, etc., please adjust the account to reflect the parties' agreement that the account is set off, settled, and closed to avoid incurring any penalty liability in the matter regarding account number so-and-so. Now my sister, she runs a little Firestone car care center down in San Diego, and she was having trouble with somebody sending her little store, slamming her telephone with these $49 a month bills. You know, you can imagine a couple thousand Firestone stores getting slammed with $49 bill a month on some phone service, and probably a good third, half, or some of those are never, the manager's not going to say anything over $49, right? Very effective. Just like some of us have experienced something slammed on our phone bill, right? This isn't anything that we had or charged up. You got to call and go through this process. You got a couple million customers, and you send out a bill for extra $20, $30, $50 on any given time. What are those people going to do with it? Fully half of them aren't going to bother. They just pay it. They're too busy, whatever. But my sister was saying, what do I do about this, brother? I says, well, let me handle it, sis. I'll take care of it for you. She goes, okay, I appreciate it. But I said, what I'd like you to do is read this administrative notice article. I think we've sent it all. You all have received it, or most of you. You can get it from Juanita, and if not, she'll give it. You can get it from me, whichever. And so my sister wrote up this really highly, legal document. You can see how professional and legal that looks. That's pretty intimidating legalese, Right? And then she went on with some real legalese and said, my name is Margaret Ferris, and I'm the store manager of Firestone. I called you last month in February of 2008 because there was a charge for $49 on my bill from you that I did not authorize. That's pretty tricky talk. You billed me again on my statement from March 22, 2008. Then she got really serious. I want you to stop billing me for this and credit me $49 on my bill. The person you said authorized this has not worked here for years, and this leads me to believe you've committed fraud. Did she say you committed fraud? No. Did she accuse her brother? Nah. Notice it, don't accuse. She put that together from reading this thing. She says, I'm going to do it, Gordon. I says, let me do it. She says, nah, I'm going to do it. I said, all right. And that's the wild letter she put together. And we haven't talked much about it, but when you're doing these things, court and this and that and the other thing, is so confusing because you think the way you've been brought up to think rather than understanding the rules of the game, which are partially, it doesn't matter what they say. It's what they do that you have to pay attention to. Because if you pay attention to what they say, you're going to get lost. Because the processing center for this phone company wrote back a pretty interesting letter. Your letter's been referred to me for research and reply. Who's me? Customer Services. On January 16th at 9:34 a.m., we contacted your company. That's pretty precise. Never heard anybody say 9:34 a.m. on this date we contacted your company. The service was explained in detail and authorization was given for the $49 monthly fee to be applied to your telephone account. We use a verification department that verifies authorization of the service, and the conversation is recorded for your protection. I like that lie. Remember, they lie all the time. It's what they're supposed to do. And of course they called at 9:34 a.m. I mean, that's obvious. And on that January 16th, we spoke to Kirk Percival. Clearly they did. Just because my sister said the dude ain't worked there for years, what's that got to do with anything? He worked there once. Just because they said they spoke to him on that date, but they didn't say they spoke to him at that location or still working for the company. So do we know if that's true or not? Couldn't tell you. But he hadn't worked there in years, and we know he's not authorized. Who stated she was authorized on this account. However, due to the fact that the registrant is not authorized on your account. The registrant? What the hell's that mean? The account has been canceled per your request. We've issued 2 credits in the amount of, call it $200, $99.90, so that's $200, plus any taxes that you may have been charged. Please be advised it can take 1 to 2 billing cycles for the credit to appear on your account. So they billed her $39. All she says is, give me the $49. Give me my $49 back and cut it out. He said, you approved it. We got proof. We did it for your protection. Yada, yada, yada. Here's your $49 plus treble damages. What the heck's going on? I don't know, but I like the result. I don't like what they said, but I like the result. You're not going to like what the judge might say in court and do and this and that, but you're going to like the result. He might sit there and say, I don't know what, you're a nut, and you're this, and you're that. Matter of fact, I suggest you just get out of my courtroom and never come back in here again, or we're gonna send you in for psychological testing and all sorts of stuff. Be nice, right? Especially if you're charged with a crime. So, it's not what they do, what they say. It's all about what they do. And it's not what they say that matters. We don't care what they say to you. All we care is what they do. That's a hard concept to get internalized. Now, if you know much about contract law, I'm going to give Juanita a bill. She's my neighbor. This bill says, I've been watching the neighborhood for the last year, seeing to it we don't have any major crimes or big fires here, and I feel my services have been warranted, and it's $10,000. And I send it to Juanita and everybody. I send y'all a bill in about 2 weeks that says, I think I did a really good job talking to you, and I went above and beyond what I was paid to do, and I think that was worth about $20,000 a piece. What are you going to do with that? Call me a nut, throw it in the trash? God, I pray you don't.
Conditionally accept.
I'd like you to.
Conditionally accept.
Better do something with it besides go door 3 or 4. Do you think I could get away with sending a bill to all the neighbors and actually leaning them up on such a thing?
Yep.
Yeah, why?
Contract.
Crazy contract.
It's contract, but everybody has a right to contract. Why would a warden agree to $40,000 on a little plastic chess set? Don't ask me. But after the lien got on him, he actually took it to federal district court, and they told him, sorry, can't help you. He filed a case in the federal district court, tried to get the lien removed. They said, can't help you. We have no authority over the commercial code of the state. I have to dig that order out. I got it in all my stuff. It's a great order. Classic. That's when he thought, man, well, yeah, let's get some Department of Justice letterhead stationery and let's tell the guy he's an inmate and he's this and he can't do that and He's out of line. If you don't knock it off, he's going to seek civil or criminal penalties. It sounded to me like a threat, didn't it to you? So I just put in a little letter to the federal district court why he shouldn't be arrested and removed from office for threatening. And what do you think they did with that little question? They kind of asked the warden, why shouldn't we arrest you and remove you from office? Of course, being the warden, he didn't know what to say, so he agreed to be arrested and removed from office. Wow. Amazing. How can such a thing happen? Of course, we got all sorts of gurus that have their opinion of this game called life and how it's ran. Here we have some information from a guy who thinks that this stuff that we tout, contract law, I don't know what else would run the game, but he kind of thinks that we're a little bit... Why do folks trust words in process they cannot understand? Because sheep will follow anyone who seems smarter than them, right into the slaughterhouse. Juanita, you're being deceived with complicated crap that will likely get some thrown in prison. But of course he does proffer these for questions on how to get out of things. Does this court have any authority to operate without a valid oath in law? See, I can't ask questions over here that say, do you have a bona fide claim against me? But you can ask, does this court have any authority? I have to admire the guy. He's asking questions. Sounds like he's going to stay safe if he does. Of course, does this court have any authority to operate without a valid oath in law? What does it matter, sir? A valid oath in contract. Isn't that what he's saying? He doesn't even know what he's asking. Do I have the right of full defense to inquire of the qualifications and competency of this court? Not if he came in. Right? How's he there? This is a public court. You don't have any rights in this public court. And if you don't come in with a claim, you got nothing coming. Right? Our friend found out that, didn't he?
Yes, he did.
Got an ex-wife who thinks she ought to get more money. He violated basic rule. He got a presentment, and what door did he go through? I'm trying to tell you, this game is too simple is the problem. No, it can't be as simple as go through one of those 4 doors with every commercial presentment. Could it? I contend it is. Sorry, that's just my feeling on it. And I got lots of my guru friends that say, oh, that ain't going to work, and this and that. And I say, I got one problem, friend. I keep winning them all. Seems to me it works just fine. I don't need to know that the Congressional Congress of 1867 passed to this, that, at the 32nd page. I mean, I got some friends quote some esoteric stuff. And I just go, so? What's that got to do with women? Well, they can't. I said, you're just arguing the facts. I thought they were on the moon. But that's my opinion, and Jack Smith's and Brandon Adams' opinion. Do we have it right? I don't know. We just seem to win all the time on stuff, so I kind of like that. I came to win. I didn't come to put them back in line. They have their world to run. Why would I care they do in their world? That's their world, not my world. I don't belong telling them, do you have a valid oath in office? What do I care if they got a valid oath? They're de facto government. They're not even legally established or officially. Why would they be? You're the authority. You came in and gave them validity. If you recognized them, you gave them validity. I'm just here as Gordon Hall, intervener. Help settle all the claims or charges outstanding. Did you get my record? I'm just here to talk about the record that was put in with the summons. Is there some mistake? Excuse me, Judge, you didn't get the conditional acceptance? Are you suggesting that a conditional acceptance, which is a counteroffer, and I love the definition of counteroffer. It's everything. a statement by the offeree which has the legal effect of rejecting the offer. That's everything. A conditional acceptance is always a counteroffer. And a counteroffer why don't you read that for us, Juanita?
On the here.
It's a statement by the offeree which has the legal effect of rejecting the offer and proposing a new offer to the offerer. What does Black's Fifth say about it?
Sixth.
Counteroffer. Statement made by the offeree to the offerer relating to the same matter as the original
Go
offer.
down a little further.
Okay. A statement by the offeree which has the legal effect of rejecting the offer and of proposing a new offer to the offerer. Continue.
Nope, that's it. I could get into all sorts of stuff about that definition, but all I need to know is this. Remember, I told you it was all of offer and acceptance. Here's an indictment, Pat. You killed 3 people and you did this and you did that. Well, all you got to do is give them a counteroffer and it'll have the legal effect of rejecting it. Now, you better not keep this, so you better send it back with it. It gets so simple, it's ridiculous. And honors them with the deal. All the court did was send you what your brother brought in. Is he accusing you? Nah, he's just talking about some facts. And since they're on the moon, what's it matter? It's hard to imagine that. Remember, you got to get a hold of your Blacks, 4th, 5th, or 6th, and find definitions that work for you. I like that definition. All you need to know is it has a legal effect of rejecting the offer. The credit card company sends me a bill. I send back a remittance, right? And all their paperwork and fire it back to the CFO for certain reasons. And what does he do with it? He keeps it, and some other department comes in and says, hey, we didn't get your payment, this and that. I conditionally accept upon proof of claim that the record attached herewith, everything I sent the CFO, which is accepted, which I just said is a binding contract, has now set off, settled, and closed the matter. Remember, I just did a legal rejection of it. The doc up in Wisconsin with the Harley-Davidson payment, they sent him a bill. He sent him a little remittance. Some piece of paper with ink on it. And what happened? Back and forth a few times. They gave up and went to a public court. He won that first round like hands down. The second one he just tripped up totally. Just lost his way. Walked right into the bar, got introduced as Tony Christensen, and he feels chagrined about it, embarrassed. Because Tony's really a sharp doc. Guy's good. He's done some neat things, I'm telling you. And I don't know why he popped loose with that, but and Tony did nothing yesterday. He says, oh man, I missed it, that idea. I said, call your brother. He's got a neat, I don't know if we can get him on this mic. Let's see. Let's hear what Tony had to say.
I don't think your hand up yet. I don't think your board's on.
Go ahead.
I don't think the mic board's on.
See if we can get that on. If you can.
So Gordon, the conditional acceptance, you must use it like 99% of the time, right?
Yes.
And acceptance is basically the same as doors 3 and 4.
Oh, a judge offers to dismiss the case. I
Yeah.
don't want to conditionally accept that. I accept.
Yeah, but it's not very often that it's
Not often. That's right. It's almost 99% of the time I use a conditional acceptance because I don't like what's being offered to me. You did this, you did that, we want to fine you this, you owe us this, you owe us that. Is that difficult to get? Let's see if we can get it on. Let me get this on real quick. Hello? Hello? Let's see if we can now. Okay. Let's get this iPhone on an external speaker. Yeah, it's going to be tough. Let me repeat it. Hi, Gordon, Tony here. Just let you know. Called the attorneys, called the courthouse and got it moved back to October 19th. Very nice about it. He did some other things to say to me after he hung up from the clerk. I'll tell you about when I talk to you. So, he didn't know what to do. He got a hearing tomorrow, wasn't ready for it, didn't get prepared, none of that stuff. What's he going to do? Who are you in court with? His brother. So I had him call the bank's attorneys. Just tell them the truth. And they were kind enough to oblige him. Why?
You mean an extension of time, postponed?
Mm-hmm. Why? Because they only have 4 doors to go through also. And they were not dumb enough to dishonor him. Say no.
Oh, so if they did dishonor him.
No, they didn't. They gave him an extension
What if they
till.
did?
Well, it'd be interesting. Because he was going to be in court the next morning, it would be kind of interesting to see what the deal would be. You know, you contacted your brother. You really, if you'd have done it 3 days in advance and give notice to the court, and they'd have dishonored him, then it's pretty easy to go somewhere with it. I'm not sure what would happen with such a short notice, because you do have some responsibilities when you start playing in the public. Here's more questions by our friendly guy here. Do you get to intimidate me to submit to you, or must I do it voluntarily? What's that got to do with anything? Can I be cited or contempt for asking questions in order to effect a full defense? Defense. You want to defend yourselves? Any of you want to defend yourselves? Why not? I think we're just going to let things happen. Huh?
It's argument.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Well, you know what's nice? I love the definition of apologize. A formal defense in speech or writing. And somebody says, I'm sorry. Sorry means inferior, substandard. I apologize. That's to make a formal defense in speech or writing. And forgive me means to give up all claim to punish your exact penalty for it. I like that one. So it's real easy that when I ask for something, I'm not going to apologize, nor am I saying I'm sorry. I just simply have 2 words for my misconduct. Forgive me. This guy, can I be cited for asking questions in order to effect a full defense? Hell yes, you can. That's a fact. Why would you ask such a silly question, a self-evident question, unless you don't know anything about law? Are you aware my Christian faith in God's commands that the Queen defends prevents me from submitting to false gods who have added to and removed from God's law? What the hell all that meant, I don't know, but, okay. Are you aware the man acting as the prosecution has altered my name for a financial purpose called a bid bond without my permission? If you ask me and I was a judge, I'd say, no. Kind of cute what the judge did to me. Great judge, federal judge. They're all top-notch guys. The judge says to me, this is when I'm like, got my panties all in a wad and I don't know what to say, and I'm reading from my 11 pages of Q&A, and the judge says, Mr. Hall, I suggest you get an attorney before you hurt yourself. Are you suggesting I can't resolve this matter directly without having an attorney receiving public benefits? He goes, no. I said, oh God, now what do I say? I didn't know what to say. The hearing turned out okay, but where was my claim? What was I doing? When he said, I suggest you get an attorney, Mr. Hall, all I had to do, unbeknownst to me at the time, was, I conditionally accept your offer, Judge. Upon proof of claim that the record and pleadings of the parties, which is accepted, has not said I'll settle and close this matter. Are we not ready to adjourn this hearing and submit the matter under law, under what? To an issue of an order to discharge the United States claims or charges and discharge the defendant from any further public duty or obligation in the matter. He's only got 4 doors. And he knows I know what I'm talking about if I could come that eloquent at the time, but I couldn't. I couldn't see the forest through the trees. Trying to think of all these 11 pages of what I should say and all this different, and, well, court got authority to operate with a valid license, all these weird questions. What do they got to do with the issue? One of my buddies, and I repeat this a lot, he was telling me a story about a TV program he saw with the king's men beating on the castle door, and he just came into it and caught this on TV. He didn't see what the movie was, but it's just a part of it. And here the lieutenant's beating on the castle door and got the king's men with him, and the servant comes down. He says, "Where's your master? We found the body of a dead peasant girl on the property." He goes and gets the master, and the master comes down in the lamp and opens the door, and the lieutenant says, "We found the body of a dead peasant girl on your property." And the master of the house says, "So, Lieutenant, tell me, were your men poaching or trespassing when they found the body of the dead peasant girl?" That was the issue. Not that there's a dead body. And in the movie, the lieutenant and the king's men beat feet off the property. The TV and movies have been telling us forever. The Wizard of Oz, and Matrix, and A Few Good Men, and it's endless. The movies and the messages subliminally, or just there for us. You have eyes that can't see and ears that can't hear.
Public notice.
Public notices all the time. You can't handle the truth. That's a famous line out of A Few Good Men. Jack Nicholson, you can't handle the truth. What's the truth? Truth is that which is true. What's true? In accordance with the facts. Wow. You can't handle the truth. And in another context is, the truth of the matter is you're not Edward. And you don't even know it. The truth of the matter is you're not even conscious. That's disgusting. Yes, I am. I'm awake. See that? Are you awake to your identity? What does identify mean? When they want identification, they want to identify you. Identity. To make the same.
Create joiner.
Essentially, yes, create joiner. You with that name. You're not the name. Remember I told you that. You got lots of names. Hey, you! You got to practice when people do it. You do it in a public place. You hear people say, "Hey!" And you go like this. "Hey's not your name. What are you turning?" Now, you don't have to be so careful in the public out there, but when you start getting into formal settings, courtrooms, things like that, where our friend Tony went into a courtroom, and in this place the clerk was outside the courtroom and had their offices out there and said, "Who are you?" "Oh, Tony Christensen." He wasn't in the courtroom. He didn't think he had to be on guard. Should have said, "I'm here today as Tony Christensen, intervener, for 8:30 appointment. Help the party settle all claims or charges." Or could have just been, "I'm Tony Christensen, intervener." Just so you get it, so you're not the defendant or any ambiguity regarding such assumption and presumption. Is it right for the police to be able to just stop you along the street? Sure, under assumption and presumption, everybody's a U.S. citizen. Or something else that they have authority over. There's so few kings or queens walking around out there. Why would they need to worry about stopping you? It's almost always their cattle. Not a pleasant thought. Now the question is, will they really pay attention to this stuff? Oh yeah, I will tell you, now the police don't know all these nuances and contract law. They're just taught something in their stuff that they've got to get jurisdiction. Do you wish to participate in fraud and extortion on the record? What kind of question is that? Is that fraud and extortion that they're doing in there? Nah, they never charged you. They charged Gordon Hall. I'm not him, so they didn't charge me. What's wrong with me? This is a game. This is a sea of commerce. Your vessel, you want to sail it out there. How else are you going to get around in the sea of commerce? You might want to buy a TV or a car on time, or a home on time. Or at least on time so you can turn right around and allege fraud and discharge a trust deed and you got the home free. Right? Because since we don't know how to exactly monetize your promissory note, and they do and they did, wouldn't it be nice to let them monetize it, and then if you discovered it was fraud, you can get it off? Fraud vitiates all contracts. Do you have authority to discriminate against me as my sincerely held faith in Christ as my Savior? Is that the issue? Pleadings is a neat word. The process performed by the parties to a suit or action in alternately presenting written statements of their contention, each responsive to that which precede, and each serving to narrow the field of controversy until there evolves a single point, affirmed on one side and denied on the other, called the issue, upon which they then go to trial. John Stewart in Arizona up on murder charges, the couple of docs in Cincinnati doing their thing. What's the issue? For John the issue is, isn't this matter settled? Don't I have an agreement with the prosecutor? We have an agreement with the prosecution that this matter is settled and closed. She has no claim. How could she have a claim? She put a charge on him. She imposed a task or responsibility on him to settle the matter. It's been settled. Now we've got to see if he can hold on to it. Because contracts are dynamic. They have a right to see if you're riffraff trying to get through. Or whether you really have it coming. Do you know who you are? Do you know you got a claim and you know how to bring it back up? And this is what I want to talk to you. Is it that, I go to court, man, I don't know what to say. Au contraire. Now, when I first took over John's case, he was a year into this, almost $600,000 in attorney fees, etc., and so on a Sunday I call him up and decide to take the case, and he says, well, I got a trial starting on Friday. So, well, that's a little short. That's okay, let's see what we can do. We put in a forgive me letter. I think that one was 1.5 lines, maybe went down to 2 lines long. Sent it to the prosecution, sent it to the court. Of course, we terminated all the attorneys, too, because no point in having an attorney. Because anything you say, if you have an attorney, isn't going to be heard or seen. I don't care where you file it. Isn't going to matter. You're deemed a mentally incompetent ward of the state if you have an attorney. Do you have that?
It's all in there.
Have you all seen that stuff from Corpus Juris Secundum?
Yeah.
Yep.
Should I hire an attorney? If you haven't, the bottom line is, if you have an attorney, you're deemed mentally incompetent ward of the state. In Corpus Juris Secundum, which is the accepted standing legal encyclopedia, will tell you that attorneys' first loyalty is to the courts, and then the public, and third, not the client. His first duty is to the courts and the public, not to the clients. That's not very ambiguous, pretty straightforward. You know, a really cool one is my guy down in California, the medical marijuana guy. We terminated his attorney. His attorney's a friend of his. They're brothers in a certain religious faith. All of this. He says, man, he's my friend, Gordon. He said, should I just call him and explain it? I said, don't you dare. I said, simply just terminate him. Terminate is a very important word. In Black's Law Dictionary, it'll have a part that says in the UCC, termination means ending of a contract without it being broken by either side. I'm not going to fire him. I'm not going to ask the court to fire him. He's terminated. We just ended the contract, that's all. I'm not accusing him of anything bad or doing anything wrong. Matter of fact, I said thank you very much for your time, your efforts. Greatly appreciated. And you're hereby terminated. There's no blaming. There's nothing wrong with that. Now, whatever I put into the court can be heard and seen. But it couldn't prior to that. So, he goes, no, I explained it to my attorney, this and that. I says, well, and he had a hearing the next morning. I said, well, I got a feeling that attorney's going to be there. He said, no way. He said, he's a money-grubbing dude. He's not about to show up when he's been terminated. I told him he was fired. He agreed that was fine and all that. He's not coming. The next morning, guess who was there? That attorney was there. Worse than that, he's trying to say, I'm here today as so-and-so. And the attorney, the judge asked the attorney, is so-and-so here? And he goes, yeah, that's him right there. He says, he just pointed at me. He said, Judas, man. He said it was unbelievable. I couldn't believe it. Upton Sinclair, it has cost many a man life or fortune for not knowing what he thought he was sure of. I said, are you sure he's going to be there? Yeah, absolutely. I said, okay. You didn't learn the thing I taught you like last week. You're not sure of anything. If you didn't know who you were, who you weren't, where you lived, and what your country was, how could you be sure of anything? That's what lets me know I don't know much. A lot of years ago, I thought I was Gordon Hall and thought I lived in the United States and was my country, and I thought I lived in California or Arizona or whatever. Man, if I didn't know that, what makes me think I know anything now? Only hubris could allow such a thing.